Hi, this is Deborah Clutter. I have another in the hoop bag for you, and this one is a little quilted bag. This one is a 6x9, and it has a little bit of an angle on the side. Now I did use some swimsuit fabric. I don't know what this stuff is. It actually changes color. You can't really see it in the camera, but it'll look purple from one side and it'll look blue from the other side. And I think it turned out really pretty. The back side has butterflies on it. This is a true top zip. So your zipper will open on the very top. And this one is using a lace zipper. You can't use any other kind of zipper. You have to use a lace zipper. I calculated all the places it needs to sew based on a lace zipper. So if you want to make this bag, make sure you get some lace zippers. You can get them on Amazon or wherever. These are really cute. They have little stars and it has a little star pull on it. So this is the 6x9, and here's another one, and this one is a different kind of that swimsuit fabric. And I put a little crystals on this one. And I had another one, but I gave it away. And this one, I used canvas on the back, and I actually like the way this one feels better with the canvas on the back. This one feels a little, I don't know, a little floppy to me, even though I interfaced the back. I like the bags to have a little bit of body. And so I think the waterproof canvas works really well on the back. And if you want to put crystals on it, like I did, which takes a little time, you can do that. And here's one that is not fancy, just on regular canvas. And it doesn't even have a strap. If you want to do it like that, you can too. It's a really simple bag. It's nothing special. It's got some quilting on it, and that's about it. Here's the little baby bag, and this one you can't even put your phone in. It's very small. I can put my eyeglasses in there, and that's about it. And this one is done on linen with metallic thread, and I think that one turned out really good. So if you want to try some metallic linen, if you can find some. They used to have a bunch of it around. I don't know about anymore. This one turned out really nice. And here's the other little baby one. So cute. And this one is on metallic linen also. But I think I can't tell without my glasses, but I think I just used regular thread. Now I am going to include both sizes in the download for this. So if you want to make the small one, you can make these little small ones. If you have a Bernina and you have the large hoop, you can make this little tiny one in that large hoop. Some people can't afford the big, huge hoops for the Berninas, and they're extra. They're not like buying a Baby Lock or a Brother and they have these huge hoops that come with them. So if you just have a little, the large hoop, then you can make this one. So I hope you have fun making this bag, and let me know. The construction on this is a little bit different. It's probably not something you've ever done before. And I came up with this a long time ago to sew up my bags, and it is not the, you pull the lining one way and the top and back one way and then sew it. It's not that. It's a whole different kind of construction, but it's really easy. And you'll be surprised. Hopefully you like it. Thanks. Here's the supplies you're going to need for this project. You may hear some thunder and lightning. It's getting ready to rain. Okay, so I am going to use this stretchy swimsuit fabric for the front of my bag. And I have some batting here also. And these are 8x11. And this will be my lining. I need 2 of those. Those are 8x11. And the back is going to be the same fabric, but I have interfaced this with 808, Pellen 808, and it's a medium weight stabilizer. You're going to need a lace zipper in my case. This one is actually has stars in it and a little star pull on it. You're going to need to cut some fabric 2 inches by 14 inches to make a strap if you want one, and a little D-ring. Now you're going to make this whatever size you like on your wrist. Actually, I usually like them a little bit tighter than that, but that'll work. And we'll get started. Thanks. We're getting ready to start step 1, and that's stitching out the placement line. And I have some purple thread on this. The next step is to place the batting, and it is just going to go on top. Mine's a little oversized, but it'll work. I have my batting all trimmed, and we're going to add the front and the back lining. So let's turn over the hoop first, and we'll do the back. And we just want to place it a little bit past that last stitching where the batting is. And go ahead and tape it down. And turn it over. And I'm going to grab a couple clips. And roll it up and kind of clip it into my stabilizer to keep it out of the way. And then we're going to place this really weird shiny stuff on the front. And it's going to go in the same place as the lining, a little bit over the front batting. And then we'll go ahead and stitch that in place. So I'm a little nervous trying to stitch on this fabric. We'll see how it goes. Before I took my machine in, it would not stitch on it at all. But this is the back side of the fabric. It hasn't tried to stitch on the front side yet. So we're just going to remove our tape. So take your lining and pull it down, and you can move it out of your hoop if you want, and just make sure you get it taped down. And if you're not using this type of fabric, it's probably going to be easier. But I think this little quilted bag looks really pretty with this fabric, and so I am going to try it again. The next step is to do the quilting, and I changed my needle to a 100 by 16 needle because it worked on this type of fabric before, and I don't want it to mess up on the quilting. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be okay, and I'm just going to let it finish its quilting and meet you after it's done. The next step after it's all quilted, it looks really good. Look at that. So this fabric changes color as you move. The next step is to take the lining, and we're going to go ahead and pull it down on the back. Now we're getting ready to put our back on, so we need to take it out of the hoop, and I'll show you how to do that. I can just do this right here. So I'm just going to place my back a little bit over that top line and tape it in place. Now we want to fold the back, and I'm just going to pull it out so that I can finger press it. And it's going to top stitch the back. So for this step, you're going to place your zipper, and we just want to place it between this line and this line. And there's also like a center line if you want to use that. And then we're going to tape it down. And I'm going to go ahead and tape it, and I'll be right back. Here's my zipper all taped in place, and just going to put it back on and start tacking it down. All right, remove your tape and get ready for the next step. For this step, you're going to need a really sharp seam ripper, and you're going to need either some wide blue painter's tape or some tearaway sticky back stabilizer. And I've had this for a long time, so I'm going to go ahead and use this stuff. And you also need a little bit of tearaway, just regular tearaway stabilizer. This is my piece of regular tearaway stabilizer. You don't really need that much, but all right, go ahead and turn your project over and take off all the tape. You don't need it anymore. All right, now what you want to do is take your seam ripper, and you want to catch the stabilizer, not the zipper underneath, and slice it right next to the lining without tearing your lining. And this is going to be a little bit weird. You just want to slice it up a little ways, and then you want to slice it this way. And then we're going to slice it on this outside line right here. So it's the only line that you have that's, it's actually the top stitching of the backing. So just don't catch your backing. Just like that. And then I also want to cut it on this end. And you can get some scissors and trim away the stabilizer from your zipper. All right, so it should look like that when you're done. And your bag is going to be flopping open like this. And just turn it around. And we want to open our zipper at this point, about halfway. You want to get your D-ring and put it wherever it is you want to put it. I'm going to put mine right there, and then just go ahead and tape that down. And then you're going to take the back and fold it over the front. And you want to match, you know, the back or the front fabric up like that and tape it down. So it's just like you're folding the zipper in half. So the zipper is kind of folded in half right there. And then for the other side, since the zipper is loose, there's two things that are going to happen. When you get ready to sew this, it's probably going to shift because it doesn't like sitting right on top of each other. I have tried sewing this together. I have taped it to death, and it still wants to shift. So you can go ahead and tape it as best you can to try to get it not to move. And then we're going to sew the bag together right here, and I don't really feel like I don't know why it's not sticking. I don't really feel like there's a ton of a difference in height right here, because all my fabric is kind of thin, but that's what this paper is for. Just be on the safe side, fold yourself up some paper, just like that, and put it right next to the ledge of where the bag is folded. And the reason for that is so that when your foot is on here, it has a level surface and it won't try to go off and then come on and then hit your bag and then tear it up. Because I've had that happen. It happened to me on my Bernina. I sewed this bag on this machine and it never gave me any problem, but I'm just going to go ahead and put it in the video just so that you can have the choice of doing that. And if it works the other way without it, then that's good. If not, then I would just recommend doing it. It's not going to hurt anything. And like I said, it'll keep this nice and flat. All right, so now you're just going to take your painter's tape or your sticky back stabilizer. I've had this stuff for about 10 years, and when I first started embroidering, I thought that's what you were supposed to use, and I used it all the time. I had a little tiny hoop. So I'm just going to take this and put it over this opening. And this really isn't to secure the opening. This is more to make sure that it's nice and flat here, because my machine likes to travel with its foot down. You may have a machine that doesn't do that. You might not have that problem, but just tape it down and then you won't have a problem with it shifting. And then this is what it looks like on the back. And I need to take my back lining and turn it over 1/4 of an inch before we start, and I'll be right back. All right, I ironed my back lining over 1/4 of an inch, and I also glued it with some white Elmer's glue just to keep it nice and flat. And then we're going to put it right sides together on the back here, and you just want to match it up with the lining that's on the back. This is actually a really easy bag to make. It's going to be super easy to turn, and it really not very many steps for making the bag. And just make sure you do your corners and don't be like me and forget your corners and sew your lining up. All right, so it should look like that. If you want to put some tape up here to keep your lining from moving around, you can do that. Or if you just don't want this sticky stuff, you can tape over that, but it doesn't really matter. All right, we're ready to sew our bag together. And you're probably going to see me stop and start a couple of times. Because once it gets off of this ledge, my foot has a tendency to stay up, and so I need to stop it and I'll readjust. And I can tell it's still up too high. There we go. Sorry, my dog is sneezing in the background. She's still sneezing. Okay, so it's going to stitch half of it, and then it's going to come over here and stitch this half. And as you can see, the foot travels while it's down, and it has a tendency to get stuck on stuff. And I'm not quite sure why Baby Lock, brother, whoever built this thing, decided that was a good idea. Just readjusting my foot. One more time. There we go. Now, your machine may not behave this way, and you might not have to do that. But my machine does. We're all done, and that was a super easy and fast bag to make, and we'll take it off and I'll show you how to put the rest together. All right, so I'm just going to remove all of the tape I have on here. So if you have painter's tape or this kind of tape, whatever you got on here. And I actually stitched over this time. It usually doesn't. So I don't usually have a problem with it stitching over here, but I did this time. I guess I got the paper a little too close, or maybe I got it on top of each other. But you can see after all that I tried, my zipper still moved a little bit, but it's going to be okay. Just take this out. I still got tape on the back. And that's what our project looks like. All right, so take your scissors and cut away the stabilizer. All right, so this is the most crucial step of the whole project. Do not cut your zippers. So you're going to start over here, whichever side you want to start on, and you're going to move your zipper away and then start trimming your bag. Don't forget, if you cut your zipper, it's not going to turn out really well. And we're just going to cut it about 1/4 of an inch, and then you're going to come along to this side and you're going to move this zipper out of the way, and make sure you don't cut it either, just like that. And that's what your bag looks like. Oh, I still have some tape here. Go ahead and open your bag and then turn it out. It's going to be the easiest bag that you've ever turned. And there's our bag. It looks pretty dang cute. I love the fabric. So now we have these zippers, and you want to trim them. You're not going to trim them a lot. You're just going to trim them about that long. And they're going to stay inside the bag. If you trim those too short, what'll end up happening is they're going to poke out right here, and you won't get them to lay down inside your lining. And so now you're going to take this to the sewing machine, and you're going to sew down the lining after you put it where it needs to go, which is right next to the stabilizer that you see. And you're going to do that all the way over here and stitch it down. Now what I usually do is stitch it from this side and stitch on this line so that you don't see it. Sometimes it makes it a little difficult if you glue it down a little bit first, then you can stitch it a little bit better. But when you come to this side and you have your zipper in the way, and it's always hard to get this zipper going after it's kind of stuck in there a little bit. My husband broke one before. I don't know, I'm not going to ask him to do that again. There we go, and get it started. When you come along this side, it's really hard to get in here. Now you can opt to just you know, stitch it by hand right here. I usually sew it, but you could stitch it by hand. And it's super easy just to sew this on your sewing machine and just get it done. Here's our finished bag, and I think it looks really good. Now the advantage of doing the zipper this way is the zipper lays really nice, and the corners aren't all, you know, weird like they can get when you put a zipper in. And this is what it looks like now that I sewed the lining in. And it's this side I sewed in. I just sewed it on my sewing machine. And everything is nice and neat. And the zipper looks good. And I think these lace zippers I got on Amazon with the stars in them, I think they turned out really nice. And the bag is really pretty, so I may put some crystals in all these little intersections, and I think that might look nice too. We will see, but here's your finished bag.